Hello, you amazing, beautiful people. It is January 2025, and you're back with me, Keltie, and Sav for Hitting the Bars. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Got some New Year's resolutions. Purchased a walking pad finally for my office.
Have you
Just gonna
tried it?
level up. No, I have to wait. I live on an island. Shit takes forever to get here.
True. Purchase doesn't mean receive. Different.
No. My Amazon Prime is like a month.
Do you still have to pay for Prime for that?
Yep.
Or that's what would happen if you didn't use Prime? Like, how long would it take?
Probably the same amount.
Yeah,
But like, it used to be 7 days. Now a lot of it's like 2 weeks to a month. Like, it just depends on what the product is. But like, when I go back to the States, I'm like, this is glorious.
it's kind of crazy. Like, even like the States is a whole new level. Like, it's like 50-50 here. Like, a lot of things come 24, but then a lot of things are like 2 to 3. And then when I go over to Sweden, it's all delayed. But you guys are like same day. It's crazy. You can get anything delivered.
Oh,
it's insane.
I lived in Seattle, the mecca of Amazon.
True.
Dude, I would like throw a party and I would order cups for the party and it would be there within 30 minutes.
It's insane.
It was beautiful. And that was like back when I was like, it was maybe like well over 6 years ago. Who knows what it is now?
Probably
it's 10 minutes.
It's faster than Uber Eats at this point.
Like, I know
Bezos.
so many people that just work at Amazon in Seattle as well because it's just everywhere.
I mean, how could you not? Like, it just
Truly.
seems like vital. Like, there's probably so many
Absolutely.
jobs, so much money. I mean, who doesn't love Amazon Prime?
Exactly. How are you?
I'm doing good. New year, new me, as per usual. Like, are you the kind, like, do you look back and you're like, oh, I did well? Or do you look back and you're like, I missed this and missing this? You know what I mean? Like, how do you look back at yourself when you reflect on the
I'm
year?
self-deprecating. I'm not very nice. I'm like, what the hell? You're telling me you didn't get a G-Wagon? You're telling me you didn't get this 8-pack of abs? And I'm like, you know what? Shoot for the stars. Because you'll still get further to the star than if you just aimed low.
Hopefully.
So,
Bumper sticker.
that's kind of how I see it. How do you act?
Yeah, always unrealistic vision board. But at the end of the year, you just have to look at it and be like, I got a few things. When you're making your vision board, it's just like, you're just putting it out there, you realign. But I'm at that point where I've been like making consistent vision boards for like 4 to 5 years. And there's a little copy and paste now. Like, it's
Absolutely.
like, I'm still, I think that means I'm on the right path. I'm still working towards, I'm a little closer. But I think it's a good thing when you start every year having to like totally redo your vision board every year. I'm like, either you're accomplishing everything and good for you, you are, don't listen to anything I say, or on the flip side, you might have to consider that you are going through identity crises.
Absolutely. There is something humbling about you being like, well, I didn't get this. I didn't get that. I didn't get this. But it is really cool when you do have a vision board and you got something.
It's so satisfying when you're like, or you even forgot about it and you see it, like, that's so nice. Or I've had this a few times, like, I look back at some of my other ones and like there'll be a few things on it, and at the end of the year, like it's always materialistic things. And at the end of the year, I was like, oh no, I don't actually want that. That's not that important.
Totally.
Do you know what I mean? It's so funny. There's a few times I've had like a purse or a specific car on there, and then by the end of the year, I'm like, oh, thank God I didn't save for that thing.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Absolutely. It is kind of funny. That's where you have to watch the trends of things because you'll want, even like, I think of like we remodel our home, right? And like I'll want it to look a certain way. And then I'll be like, what was I thinking? I don't like that.
Oh, fully. That's why I'm like, I wonder if the hack is to like always look back like 30 years ago. And if you're like, oh, I still like that, that's how you know. For these like big purchases, not just like random day to day, but like making your home a designer purse or anything. I'm like, if you look back at Princess Diana and she was wearing it and still looks chic, like you're safe. That's like my barometer. I'm like, if Princess Diana pulled it off, we're good. Go for it.
So Princess Diana is your idol?
I wouldn't say she's my idol, but she's my
outfits?
barometer of like classical things. You know what I mean? Because she was the peak trendsetter back in the day, and she was peak fabulous and everything. And so I'm like, if she could pull off that dress back then and I still think it looks chic now, it will be chic in another 30 years. You know what I mean? That's kind of my barometer of stuff. Like I think of like her with that sweater and the biker shorts, like that outfit like lives rent free in all of our heads. And like, so stuff like that. That's how it's not a perfect science, but there's kind of what I tried to do.
That is totally fair. You know, speaking of people that are famous, Michael and I were watching Only Murders in the Building, and Meryl Streep is in it. And he goes, why do they keep making that lady leave? Like, she'll just like have cameos, right? He's like, why isn't she just this main girl? I'm like, because it's Meryl Streep and she has other things to do. And he's like, who? He had no idea who she was. And I was like, Devil Wears Prada? He's like, so I'm telling my mother about it today, being like, can you believe Michael didn't know who Meryl was? And she's like, has he never seen Devil Wears Prada? And I'm like, he's a man. No, unless you're forced to watch it. You don't watch Devil Wears Prada as a guy usually. And I was like, oh, but I was shook. So, I'm like, she's more, arguably, do you agree? She's more famous than Steve Martin and Martin Short.
Oh, fully. Don't you think? Like, and recognize it. Well, like you could debate they might have achieved more, be more famous, but like in terms of like walking down the street, people, because she's always like front to face a bit more. So I think so. Like, yeah. I just, if you had to name like the best actresses of our generation, you're going to name Meryl Streep. Like she'd be number one if you're like most iconic. Her. Drop mic.
I know. And it just cracked me up. Why does this lady keep leaving? I'm like, oh my God.
This lady? How not Mrs. Streep to him?
It's like, even with Longoria's on it, and he's like, yeah. Is that girl famous or something? I'm like, oh my God. And like the joke is like she always is more famous than she really is. So I could kind of see it. But I'm like, dude, he's like, oh, is she really that famous that she would know Michelle Obama? I'm like, no, I think that's a joke on the show.
They're that famous though, those ones.
Eva Longoria?
I haven't seen the show. I feel she married didn't she marry like a billionaire?
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, I only know her from the show. Desperate Housewives.
Eva Longoria husband.
For those that don't watch Only Murders in the Building, they have Eva Longoria go and play Selena Gomez as if like it's going to be a movie from the Only Murders in the Building. And they just have like a fantastic cast of all these extremely like famous people. Like Sue, I think, from Glee is in the show. Zach Galifianakis is in the show. Whoever made Schitt's Creek, that guy's in the show. It's just like, Ron Howard, which I didn't even know who that was. And my mom's like, did you guys not know who Ron Howard was?
So I'm looking at, and he's like a movie producer. So
Ron Howard?
No, Eva Longoria's husband.
Because Ron Howard is a movie producer.
Ironic. True.
Yeah. But, yeah. So anyways, do you have a hot take?
I do. And it's kind of with themes of this year. And it's more of a manifestation. What I hope. And it was kind of trending a couple of years ago of like the 3-2-1 format. But I was like, I hope this is the next fitness trend of like 3 weight sessions a week, 2 runs, 1 mobility / Pilates / yoga session, and just like super balanced. Now you're going to have to adjust it. It might be 4-1-1 or 4-2 or whatever. But you know what I mean? That kind of foundational weights, foundational cardio, some mobility. And that's what can that be in for once? Like that be the thing? That's my hot take. That's not too hot, but
set the trend, girl.
True. I mean, I've been doing that for a couple of years. Okay, 3-2-1 video coming here. See what people do. I'm just going to title it 3-2-1.
You've got the power on YouTube.
I'll try. Okay, I will manifest the power and bring it to
use the power for people. Good.
With great power comes great responsibility.
Absolutely.
Cheesy.
Like
please tell me your hot take because mine was too wholesome.
Are you cringing at yourself?
I am. But you know what? That's the worst part is like, what is balance? It's so basic, but I'm like, we all need just to embrace what's good for us. A little wholesome 2025.
Let's do it. Well, my hot take is there are 2 types of people in this world. The types of people that stub their toe, okay? And it's not any stub. It's a bruise. It's maybe a sprain, but it's not broken. And they make that their entire personality for the next week. And then there's the other people that are just like go about their lives and you would never have even known that they have this raw stubbed toe because they don't complain. Which one are you?
Depends on my mood and my mental stability. Sometimes I'm like, I'm going to hurt myself and just no one bring attention and I'm just going to suck it. And every once in a while, I'm in a vulnerable place and I'll be like, I need attention. Someone tell me this really hurts.
Oh, yeah.
So it depends on my mental health. How about you?
Oh, that was a cop out. Okay. Well,
I'm both.
You're both. Okay. Well, yeah. I am definitely the diva that makes it my entire personality. I'm like to my friends, I can't go to Pilates, which I cannot imagine gripping a reformer with my freaking bruised toe. No, thank you. Yeah. But I'm like, help me. Oh, I can't walk in the sand. And I'm like, Michael, help me. I really am afraid for one day if I decide to get pregnant, how I will handle that pregnancy. Because I think I will make it my entire personality. And I really don't like that. Respect it.
It's self-aware. At least you're aware that you're like, I know I don't need this much attention, but I want it. Do I need it?
Yeah.
No.
It's not even the attention. It's I'm dramatic. And it's like, it's in my life, so it must be in everybody else's.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah, classic. Yeah, no, I'm
selfish
thinking, I'm
is
like,
more of the word.
Yeah, I think I have to say I'm 90% suck it up, no one notice, I'm fine. But if I'm mentally weak, then I want extreme. I want people to be like, that's practically World War III. Like what you're going through, there should be books written. Like I'm on those sides of the spectrum.
I'm like, Michael, you need to carry me to the gym. And then I'm at the gym. Oh my gosh, I taped my toe. I see my friends and they're like, oh, how's your toe? I'm like, oh, thank you for asking. Even though I'm like, I never know when they have injuries. And then I taped my toe and I had like the best high intensity Stairmaster circuit. I'm just going to town on this toe. Classic. And I'm like, oh, weird. It doesn't hurt.
Yeah. Funny how that is.
So justice for toes, people.
You what? 2025 for the toes.
Also, I feel like I cannot post a picture of my bruised toe. I kind of want to show my bruised toe because it's pink and it's weird looking. But I'm like, people are so weird these days about toes.
I had to do my barefoot running video. And honestly, the top comment was not like props to Keltie for all the free foot. Like there's a whole thread of just the fact I had to, and there was no way around it. I couldn't not post my feet when that was part of the video, barefoot running. And I'm like, it's somewhere on the internet and I'll never know. And that's beyond
ignorance
disturbing.
Is bliss.
I'm just pretending it didn't happen. I'm like, no, I have no idea what you guys are talking about. No idea at all.
Yeah. Somebody definitely made a foot account with that.
Well, I hope they're paying for their children's college with it.
Fair.
So it's charity, really, when you think about it. Just me being a good human.
And it's someone's fault if they fall for the feet pics. That's what I think. This day and age, with how much people, what is it called? Impersonate. It's like, come on, people. Catfish? This is not our first rodeo.
We all know. I got catfished by Amazon today. They were like, someone's trying to...
They called you?
Yeah, they like, buy an iPhone on your account. And I opened my account and no one was. So I was like, sneaky scam there. I see what you're doing. But
that is one that my mother falls for. I can't believe you actually took that seriously.
No, I just took it. I was like, they were like that. I was like, well, just a quick boom. Because I did purchase a whole bunch from Amazon. So I'm like, this is easy check. Boom. Bye. Because there's a new one. I haven't gotten that one before. You know what I mean?
I bet they get so many older people with that, though.
Oh, for sure. But do you feel you're too paranoid? Because now, like, there's been times, like, my bank's called me. And I've been, like, sassy. I'm like, prove you're the bank.
Yes.
They're like, we're the bank. We don't know what to tell you. And they eventually have to tell me
1000%.
everything about me. And I'm still like, okay, you have a lot of, I can't give you anything. And then eventually like, here's our number. You can call us back. And then I've had to call them back. Oh, sorry. Just being careful.
Definitely. I have called the number on my like American Express and been like, yes, do this. And then I'm like, wait a second. Can you prove that you are not a scam? And they're like, you called us. But my brother-in-law, he got like a really sus phone call from Chase Bank. And so like, it was a fake call, But so he goes to type in Chase Bank Help Center just on Google. So everybody take note. He just types it out on Google. And usually the first one would be the valid phone number from Chase Bank's website, right? Well, he was in a rush. He was driving. He didn't look. And he just like hit whatever was the most searched one or the one that came up. And it was scam. And so we get into the car. We're like going on the boat that day, and we get into the car and he's on the phone and he's like, man, they're asking these weird questions. We're like screaming at him, like, hang up, that person is scamming you again. And he was like, but I looked up the phone number, and we Google it. We're like, this is not the phone number. Like, that's so horrible.
So bad. There's so many. You know what? You just have to assume the worst these days. You can't assume the best. Well, speaking of assuming the worst, let's assume that the trends of this year are not the worst and that we're finally, going to have some balanced workouts. Regardless, we love talking about trends. And so we're going to predict what we think are the biggest trends in 2025. I found it from a few different sources. And I first thought, number one, it was only appropriate to talk about what's trending on social media and if you like it and if you think it's going to take off in 2025. So, number one, hybrid workouts. Hot, not going to take off. What are your thoughts?
Oh, hell yeah. But I am a hybrid girl. So you're talking to the girl, you are too. But I thought this was already trending in 2024.
But is it going to still be a thing in 2025? Because it's kind of like fully the trending thing. You know what I mean? Is it going to last into the new year? Or are we going to move on to something new? Or is it going to just get bigger and like a bigger deal?
I personally think it's going to become a bigger deal. And I would hope with like, as technology has advanced, as social media has advanced, and like it's so saturated now, I would hope people now realize that hybrid training can be the most beneficial depending on what your goals are. But like, I think people break that stigma of you have to be a gym girl, you have to be a Pilates girl. And I just think there's so much more education on it that they're more willing to become a runner. They're willing to try yoga. They're willing to try weightlifting. So I would hope it would just grow and they wouldn't go back to that toxic mentality of like putting everybody in a box. What do you think?
Yeah, I think this is going to be like even bigger than last year hybrid. I think it's like now less like it was big, but in the fitness world, now I think it's going to be bigger in like the general population world. And like with things like high rocks and that like popping up, I think like right now, just the people doing high rocks are like fitness influencers and those like real in the fitness community. But I think more studios and classes, and it'll be a bit more like how CrossFit was back in the day. I can see it being more like that, like how big CrossFit got.
Oh gosh, CrossFit. Those were the days.
It was
I fell victim.
We all did.
But
Next
I got
up,
fit.
It worked out. You're here now. Next up, AI-powered coaching. Example, people using ChatGPT to make their workout plans and diets.
As a trainer myself, I would hate that. But, I mean, if you don't have the means, it's a great way to start. But I do think AI can have a fault to it because they obviously don't know aspects of like your body, your actual, I'm sure you're not recording everything in your macros and sending it to AI. I guess you could. Be hard, but you could. But keep in mind, guys, I tried to make banana bread today and I said AI. I said ChatGPT, I've got 2 bananas. How do I make banana bread with this? And the way they gave me a completely false fucking recipe, and I like took my banana bread muffins out and they had exploded. And then I literally posted my story being like, what did I do wrong? Someone's like, you put too much baking soda or baking powder. I'm like, it's what AI called for. And this is the second time they've given me false recipes. So just know, I don't think it's quite there yet if you have a certain physique goal in mind.
I think it's going to be a lot of people using it. I think that's going to be the biggest change. I think there's going to be so many of your friends like, oh yeah, I just use ChatGPT to make a nutrition plan, to make a workout. Like so many people are using it, but I also think a lot of people are going to use it and then after 3 weeks be like, this is not working out. And so a lot of people, just exactly what happened to you. And then I think we're not there yet, but there's already so much fitness tech using AI. Like my 8 sleep matches use AI. Like I think it's going to get better and better, but I think we're still really far away from the idea that like my Apple Watch is going to take this into account and build me a perfect program. Like we're so far away from the dream, but I think a lot of us are going to use it and it's not going to work out perfectly yet.
Yeah. And be aware, like So for my programs, I hire on a dietitian because I want her like expertise. And like, I just feel like she knows more with as women and our hormones. But recently my cousin, so she missed like the cutoff, and was like, hey, can you just help me with my macros? I was like, yeah, sure. She gives me everything that I need. I obviously know how to calculate my macros with the bare knowledge that with my CPT, right? And just working so much with Brenda, my dietitian. And so I put into ChatGPT. I'm like, I'm not going to bug Brenda. I put it in. ChatGPT told me she should have 250 grams of protein. And I was like, what? And I was like, this is incorrect. And then ChatGPT was like, you're right. This is incorrect. And then it gave a more normal, like 130 grams, whatever it is. But I was like, oh, people should just make sure if you are using it, maybe just fact check it because it does have mistakes. I don't know if it was like trying to trick me or what, but I was like, 250 grams of protein? Like what?
The tech isn't even like my Whoop is so off on calories and like that's tracking something. And even its algorithm is so false. So like just to take into account, like there's no way you can trust those things. Like my Whoop has never said I've burned over 2,000 calories a day. Like it usually says like 1,600, 2,000. If I ate 2,000 calories a day, I'd be a stick. Like, you know what I mean? So, and I'm seeing it like promote that. Like, and those are like my days I'm running 15K and it's like, you burned 2,000. I'm like, I would waste away if I ate that little. Like not saying like, oh, that little bit, but just for myself. And so like, that's something that's actually tracking. Like that's how far off the technology is, let alone just like being able to like plug it in and not even account. Like the closest you're going to get is someone, like you said, a registered dietitian who actually understands the human body and your lifestyle and all the unique factors. And that's all we got right now.
Yeah.
Next up, gamification of fitness. Like, have you seen Zwift? It's like ZWIFT. It's the little on the people that use their stationary bikes, like their road bikes at home, and it's kind of like a virtual, like you get to like be biking through different locations and you see it on the screen and all that. So it's like kind of that idea of like gamifying fitness.
Oh, I love that. If you're a competitive person and maybe you have a short attention span, and a lot of the times people don't like fitness because they find it boring. Even like cardio is so important to do no matter what, right? And people hate doing cardio because they think it's boring if you're just on a treadmill looking at nothing. I think this is a really good idea. Except you're just like your eyes, you know, it's a lot of screen time. Like usually when I go to the gym, it's a one time and not looking at things. So just be aware of that. But I think it's lovely.
I love it. I don't think we're fully there. I think there's ways you can do it now, but one day we'll be in the metaverse working out and that will be super fun. But right, like you said, sometimes you need just a break from the screen. So pros and cons there.
You know who started that?
Ooh, who?
The Wii with bowling and tennis with your family.
What a throwback.
What a throwback.
Oh, nostalgia.
Family
Peak
nights.
Nostalgia. Oh.
Getting active. Bowling away at the screen. You'd shatter the TV.
Honestly, so many videos. And that was like before virality was like TikTok, but so many videos of just a kid throwing that Wii controller. And I remember they had to put the little strap on your arm. That did nothing.
No.
Like so many lost TVs.
Yeah, RIP.
Speaking of the opposite of being on screen, outdoor workouts and nature-based fitness. Example, yoga in the parks, outdoor boot camps. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I love that. Because what I was just saying with screen time, I think this is a great way to get active, maybe build a community, meet more people, and just get off your phone. I'm here for it.
I think this could be the next big thing if people do it really well. Because just think how big run clubs are. And, you know, like the New York City Marathon was crazy this year, how popular it was, just like in terms of like online content. Like I felt like it was like the Super Bowl of fitness online. And I was like, oh, I know. I was talking about my friends who like are not online, like, you know what I mean? Just like, and we were like going on, I was like, oh, this and this person is competing. But with that, that's just for runners. So I do think there will be more of a push to, like, lack of better terms, like music festival vibes, but with like workouts, and whether it be outdoor yoga, outdoor Pilates, stuff like that. I could see that being the next big thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, we talked a lot about working out, but the other thing, recovery and regeneration. So prioritizing rest for optimal performance. Example, like using like Hyper-Rice and Normatec compression boots, and that really coming over. Because I think we know self-care, we know sleeping rest days. But I think it being like, I've seen so much more people talking about infrared sauna, boots, and that just being like a regular part of like everyone's life.
Mike is down from Keltie.
Lost her. We're back. We're back in business.
I find this like a little out of touch to a degree because I think like a lot of people can't afford an infrared sauna or a cold plunge. Like the only reason we have a cold plunge is I was gifted it. Yeah. It's expensive. It was like $10,000, So like I love the idea. I just think it's not for like an average, American in a sense. Like I don't think so. Or Canadian. But I just like, for me, I would love to have an infrared sauna, but I don't, Yeah. Well, actually I do. I got it gifted. Nice. I just haven't turned it on. But see, like maybe on Facebook Marketplace, but those, I think that kind of tech is really expensive. Don't you think?
Very. Oh, fully. Like I don't have most of it. And even when I test things, like I have to like budget so much to test it, and I can make income off testing it. But I do find it interesting though. Just like, this is where I'm interested with where it will happen is before I just saw influencers doing it. But now I talk to a lot of my friends who are just like average people, average salaries. And they're like, oh, what are your thoughts on like the Normatec boots? And I'm like, oh, like, Theragun has one, Hyperrise, like they're talking about like regular people, because I think there's such an influence online now that also people are prioritizing it. And to plead the fifth, I think a lot of people now are spending less money on going out and all that. So they're willing to invest in things like this. So I am curious, like I don't have the answer. I don't think one's right or wrong, but I do notice a shift of people more willing to spend money on these like luxury recovery items versus in the past, maybe they would have only, gone out drinking in expensive handbags. So like, obviously this is different than people who, are a bit more strapped for money, and that would be a different conversation. But I feel just average people are making this swap. Like it's a trend I've noticed. Like a lot of my friends have Theraguns and things like that. Like it's just interesting how I feel it's like priorities are shifting, and it's a lot of priority towards like recovery and regeneration as like non-athletes. Like I'm starting to see.
That's like an interesting take because I don't see that. Like I have friends that do prioritize that, but I think that could be the types of friends that I attract is like people that are active, because that's what my hobbies are, Yeah. So of course they're going to prioritize that.
Fully.
So maybe it's a demographic, like an age, or like, do you know, like when I'm younger 20s, I'm not
definitely
thinking that way, but I know what you mean where it is getting less popular to do the, drinking and going out. And like, it is funny when somebody will say like, oh, I can't afford, recently I had someone that was like, oh, I can't afford to come see you because the ticket's $800, but then they bought a $300 dress, like within the same conversation. So it's like, it is just priorities. Yeah. And sometimes you have to bite the bullet. I mean, Michael and I did buy this really expensive water machine, and we bit the bullet on that, but we use it every day. We're thankful for it because water is what you live off of, literally. So I definitely see your point, but I also see another point to where I'm like, which demographic will buy this?
So I was like, I don't think it's everyone, but I've just noticed a shift amongst some people, like versus before it would have just been athletes, just the influencers. And now it's like a lot of people, especially people like late 20s, early 30s, working professionals, no kids, disposable income, like that generation, like that population specifically, I just see willing to like spend their disposable income on that versus like buying a new car. Or dare I say, like some of us don't have homes and we're spending money on that. Is it good? But it's, I just notice it happening.
Yeah. I actually just listened. I was listening to the Skinny Confidential podcast. Or is it His and Hers podcast?
Yeah, I know.
I don't know their name.
I think it's called like the His and Her podcast by Skinny Confidential. Yeah, I think it's one of those ones. It's like
commit
really
to
long.
Something, please. But anyways, I was listening. Kourtney Kardashian was on it, and she was talking about her supplement brand Lemmy, and she's like a big wellness girl in that family. And she was saying how, I thought it was interesting, she's making a wellness area in her house because she's like, we have reading nooks, we have sleeping areas. Why wouldn't we prioritize an area for wellness? Which I don't know what that would look like. Maybe that's a gym. Maybe that's, I'm building a cold plunge outside, so it's not just in my garage. So we could say that's my wellness area. But I just thought the way she broke it down being like, you have, room for eating. You have a room for watching TV. Why wouldn't you have an area to like decompress?
That could be the new flex. Like back in the day, it was the car you had, the $20,000 couch, like all those kind of things. But now it's like the ultimate flex is you go in and someone has that, the cold plunge, the infrared, like that whole thing. I'm like, that is the modern day flex right there.
I have some friends that have the hyperbaric chambers.
I've looked into it. I want to test that for a video so much. It is so out of my price range. Oh my God.
I don't even know
so
how much
jealous.
they are, but like they put their dogs in them. It's pretty incredible.
I've only heard like crazy things about it. I want to try one so bad, but
in Outer Banks, the like newest season, they get the bends. Like two of the characters get the bends from scuba diving, and they are like, put them in a hyperbaric chamber. And I'm like, really? That's how you get the bends out? And it's like to diffuse, I could be butchering this, the oxygen that's bubbling in your blood. I have no idea. But anyways, they're like laying in it. First off, it is so unrealistic. It's like you can see through the chamber, right? Because they're in a hospital. And we're like, who the hell has this in the hospital? But we're like, oh, it's Outer Banks. Maybe, people get the bends a lot there. And they like put a pillow so they can like, do it. And
what?
Yes. Because they're like a couple in Outer Banks. And then, I know, so weird. You can still see through the cracks. But then they like panic because they see this guy that tried to kill them. And one of the characters like kicks out the hyperbaric chamber's like glass, which I'm pretty sure you can't just like, you have to normalize the pressure before getting out. Yeah. Like it's dangerous. And then he like runs off and like the cop's like, you damaged the hyperbaric chamber. The amount of money he would pay for damaging that. And he just like let him walk free. It was so many flaws. There's so many flaws in Outer Banks. Let me just tell you.
There is 1,000 in that one scene.
Literally.
I'm not even going to start because I'm like, just everything was false. Every part of that cheesy. Was false.
Yep.
But makes for great television.
Yep.
Next up, I found from the American College of Sports Medicine, they made a list of the 9 trending things going into 2024. So we can kind of give thumbs up, thumbs down thoughts. 1, I feel like everyone's been saying this for so many years, though, wearable technology. The Aura, the Whoop. I will say in the last year, the Aura ring, the amount of people I see wearing it is crazy compared to like in the past.
You're like a cool girl if you have the Aura ring.
It's a trend now. I don't want to say I was ahead of the trend, but
You're ahead of the trend. Michael was ahead of the trend. I got him an Aura ring like 5 years ago. Like before I even became an influencer, I got him an Aura ring. Isn't that wild?
That's crazy.
Yeah. He just had heard about it.
I think Meg's got it for me for Christmas in 2019. I was like, and worn one ever since. So it was all thanks to Meg's. All thanks to Meg's. I got stopped on the street yesterday and someone was like, hey, I bought this because of you. And it was their Aura ring. This guy, he's like, I watched your review. I was like, how'd you like it? He's like, it's pretty decent. I sleep more. I'm like, great.
Wow. You're like that was twins.
Fun. I was like, and he was wearing an Apple Watch too. I was like, oh my God, elite combo. And so it was funny. I was like,
that is
ones
funny.
That get it. So I do think wearable technology is getting more because it's actually legit. I think up till like so long ago, it was just like a waste of money. It would track your step. And now some of the technology it's kind of crazy what it's able to do.
Especially like a heart rate monitor. I think that is so good. If you have, there's just certain things that are annoying, but if you can track it consistently.
Oh, fully.
Give that feedback. Yeah.
The next prediction, which I'm like, this is so obvious, but mobile exercise apps. Now I think there's almost too much. Like back in the day, there was a couple, and now I think there's like, it's almost overwhelming how many apps there is for fitness.
It's like, I feel like I have bought like 1 or 2, and I never end up doing them because it's so low cost. I don't care. I forget. Fully. And like, it's not customized to me. So I'm just like, I could just go on YouTube and watch the workouts. That's like how as a consumer, that's why I've never and will never do an app, because I'm just like, I think it works for some people, but a lot of times when I train girls, they start with that and then they're like, it just wasn't enough to get me committed, like there was no accountability because it's hard. It's an app. But then again, it's great for people that don't have those means and they want to support that person that created the app.
No, there's so many things. Apps, like to have a customized app is so crazy expensive. Like so many are just a cookie cutter from a template from this like one company you can go for. And I was like,
Oh
they're a
God,
great way
yeah.
to keep accountable. But like like I find there's like there's a line of like a basic app is going to, you're going to get bored of it, but you'll actually be accountable versus you buy this really fancy app. It's almost so much that you ever like using it and like you only use one feature and then you just forget about it. Like I've done that so many times if I'm like, oh, this app is amazing, but I have to put in my steps and my weight and my height and I have to track if I'm my mental well-being in the middle of the day and oh this and that. And I'm like, oh, that's why I do like Wearables is like it automatically does it. I don't have to do anything. So
Yeah.
pros
That's
and
why
cons.
I hire coaches still. If I have a problem I want to work on, I will physically hire coaches and find them online or I'll find them here. Like if it's something like boxing or whatever, like for me, it's more of a financial commitment. And then also I just feel like I have somebody checking in on me. And if I have nothing to answer for, then I'm embarrassed, you know? So it's like different strokes for
fully.
different folks. But like, that's like my one thing that I've done is like, I'll contribute to the local, you know, guy in Puerto Rico, or I'll find somebody in my niche online and then I'll hire them.
I love that. Next trend, which I'm like, hear it out before, but exercise for weight loss, but specifically more the effects of the obesity epidemic. And I think with Ozempic, one of the biggest things was people losing weight rapidly meant muscle loss. Like I think there were so many people that were just using it, losing weight. And now we're starting to see like a lot of the negative aspects of rapid weight loss from Ozempic is loss of muscle. So I think that's going to be a big thing in the next year is like, you know, people showing these individuals who are on these extreme weight losses or just regular weight loss, exercise training to build/maintain muscle while they're losing this weight. I think that could be a massive thing. What are your thoughts?
No, I mean, I agree. I think that's great because you're totally right. In the beginning of the year, it came in swinging, or maybe the prior year as well of Ozempic.
Yeah.
But there wasn't a lot of information from like your local influencer girly to know like really you just saw them lose weight. And then a lot of them came out and was like, oh, I actually have to change my lifestyle. Otherwise I'll gain them back or it's unhealthy for me. And at least the doctors said, hey, you have to now change. It's like a crutch. And that, or maybe that's not the proper term, but like it just helped them get to that point, and then they were able to kind of free up their mind to like get that lifestyle change.
For sure.
But I mean, there's still also some people that abuse it. So
Like anything. But
yeah,
I think one of the biggest downsides of Ozempic was you'd hear these people, they'd lose the weight and then they would lose muscle. And so when they're at this lower weight, they also have a lower metabolism due to the loss of muscle. And so then it's so much easier to gain it back because you're like, go back to how you regularly eating, boom, yo-yo, like every other diet. But if we can just make sure people learn how to incorporate protein, muscle, like weight training while they're doing these kind of things that are here to stay, like it or not, Ozempic's here to stay. So we might as well help these individuals and like you said, teach them lifestyle things, and like that way the weight actually stays and it's the catalyst to have a lifestyle change. And then I'm for it. The next ones I was kind of like, is this ever not in? I'm just going to rapid fire the next ones. Traditional strength training, HIIT, exercises for mental health, and health wellness coaching. Those are the next trends. I'm like, is that really a trend, or is that just like that's fitness now and everyone knows that?
I think the article just had filler. Like,
Yeah,
I think, well, you'd be shocked. Like, if you don't grow up in a fitness background or, you know, like maybe it'd be news, but now with social media, it's like you can kind of read all of that.
I feel it's like HIIT's a funny one. Like it's one of those ones that was so in and then it was out of vogue. But then like HIIT's always in. Do you know what I mean?
People
like,
are such haters of HIIT, though.
Yeah.
There's like so many people that are like, HIIT's so toxic. You don't need to be doing that. And I'm like, actually, HIIT can be great for you. You don't have to do it, you know, like a crazy amount, but don't hate on the HIIT people.
No, I can hate on some aspects of HIIT, but it's more I hate on the fact that I don't think people know what actual HIIT is. It's like a marketing term now. People are like, oh, I'm sprinting, call it HIIT, and I'm like, so now I'm like, can we just call it I'm going fast? Like, don't call it HIIT. Like the whole term of what HIIT was is like no longer there. Like it's just a weird marketing term now versus like true HIIT was high intensity interval training. So that meant you did your max out sprinting you could possibly do for like 5 to 15 seconds, like a 100-meter sprint. And then you fully recovered and brought yourself back down and then like did it again. And so it was like max ability to train your VO2 max. And then eventually it just was like people running for 45 minutes, throwing in some sprints. I'm like, that's not HIIT. Like that's running fast for as long as you can. Like it's different. So I feel like that's why there's so much hate, is because the meaning, it has no definition anymore. Like everyone just is like 30-minute HIIT body weight workout. You know what I mean?
Totally.
It's just like something like Pilates, same idea. Like Pilates is great, but everyone's like, I'm on a mat, call it Pilates. I'm like, it's technically not Pilates. Like we've lost the meaning of a lot of these things.
I see what you mean.
Yeah. So I'm like, no hate on it, but I do find it funny. I was like, what even is HIIT anymore? It just means you're going fast at some point.
That is the Canadian way of having hate on it. No hate on it, but
I'm not going to hate on anyone working out, but I'm like, I'm going to hate on the concept of HIIT. Like it's gone. We just say HIIT. It's like, it doesn't have meaning anymore.
Yeah.
So next I thought we'd finish off with a little fun one. Whole Foods predicted its trends for 2025. Love to know your thoughts. Number 1, international flavors. Thinking dumplings. They love like it seems to be like an Asian influence of their, like, think of like the classic Whole Foods brand. Like that's what they're really leaning into.
I love that.
Oh yeah.
But I also think I love that type of cuisine.
True.
What do you think?
I'm like, I love it. But also I'm like, Whole Foods, you will never do it as right as like authentic restaurants. So
no,
I mean, like, I love it. I love it. I love seeing more, but I'm like, do it right. I hope those dumplings are bomb.
Don't make it like too healthy. Sometimes when people try to make things too healthy, I'm like, this just fucking sucks. It's like when people eat spaghetti squash and they tell me it's like spaghetti. It's not. It's spaghetti squash with tomato sauce, and it's disgusting. And you cannot convince me it tastes like pasta. You cannot convince me.
You know what we have to do? We have to be better at, like, here's a fun way to make spaghetti squash taste good. But don't come at it, we're making spaghetti squash better. Don't say, oh, this is as good as pasta. Like, separate the two. Like, if you come on like great spaghetti squash recipe, I'm like, awesome. And if people are like healthy pasta recipe using spaghetti, I'm like, no. Give me fettuccine, I want gluten. Give me pasta, give me gluten. Or be like, cool recipe with butternut squash. Like, separate the two. None of this. Don't trick me. Don't trick me with this.
I agree. It's like when they're like vegan cheese. I'm like, that is not cheese. It can still taste good, but as a cheese lover, that's not cheese.
It's creamy cashew. Let's call it what it is. It's creamy cashew
nuts.
spread. Great. I love a creamy cashew, but it's not cheese.
No.
It's not burrata. Don't compare those two.
No.
Their texture of the year will be crunch. Think granola, crispy chickpeas. What are you thinking of them? Crunch texture of the year.
I love a quanch. Love a quanch.
I mean, who doesn't like a crunch? That has to be one of the most satisfying textures.
I feel like there's not many people that don't, unless they're scared of like hurting their teeth.
I mean, valid. That would be an unfortunate way to live life.
We
all have problems. Next up, beverages, specifically like a tea. Like their beverage of the year is like a tea boom. So think like those adaptogens, super tea drinks, those like mushroom infused beverages, like stuff like that. So they're predicting tea to have a massive boom this year.
Like tea bags?
No, they think like tea drinks, like canned teas, canned adaptogens, like, you know what I mean, all those like fancy superfood like tea, like green tea iced with mushroom elixir and kombucha.
We don't have that where I'm from, girl. We don't have that on the island. Kind of sounds, this is how I view tea, okay? Like literally coming from an ex-Starbucks worker, you're paying $5 for a tea bag that I just open and put in hot water and give it to you. So
that's ridiculous.
For that, I am out. I will not buy tea unless it is boba tea and they have to shake it and they have to put some pearls in it. Like, no, it's such a waste of money. Make it at home.
That's
what do you
fair.
think?
But I don't think we're talking tea. We're talking like tea beverages, like canned beverages. So I think this is going to be massive because I just look at like my friends, how often like people are more likely to order those like canned mocktails and stuff like that. Like when they go out, there's like a ton of, and those are becoming more and more popular and they taste great. And beside them is always these like elixir, but they're not energy drinks, but you know what I mean? They're just like heighten your mood. They make you calm, all stuff like that. I could see that industry being really big in the like the
I didn't
next
know that
couple
was a
years.
thing.
Yeah, like that's what they're predicting is the next big thing, and you can start to see them coming.
Wow.
And I'm like, I think this is gonna be massive for like because the sober curious movement is so big, but people still want to go out, they still want to have a fancy beverage, and mocktails don't do anything. They're just like fun. But like if you could have something that like is like healthy for you, but it calms you down or gives you some natural energy, like those kind of things, not like just a tea bag with that. I think that's going to be crazy massive in the next couple of years.
Oh, interesting. See, Puerto Rico's based in the early 2000s. It never leaves.
Behind on time.
So I don't know. I've never heard any of this, but that sounds really cool. You know, my friend owns a company. It's called Sips, SIPZ, and it's delicious. It sounds like this, and it has THC. Yeah, so you're drinking. It's very nice. We've both had it. You just have like two, and you feel relaxed. It's very awesome.
Exactly. Like there's the THC CBD. Like that would be an example in that like world, but that's more on like the marijuana side of it. But then there's other things like mushrooms and that kind of stuff. So I think it'd be big. And Whole Foods last one, which I'm kind of like these first three, I was like, okay, Whole Foods. I see this one. I'm like, Whole Foods, you're talking 2023, but cottage cheese and sourdough. I'm like, how much longer can we be on this train? This train has been going for years now. Like I'm over the cottage cheese recipe. I'm over it.
Same. Whenever I see someone on Instagram be like, make this cottage cheese with me, and it's always like them baking it, and I'm like, ew, I don't want to bake my goddamn cottage cheese. Like I will do some funky recipes, and I will be honest being like, this is a 6 out of a 10. Like I can't imagine. I like cottage cheese, as I will eat cottage cheese on the rig, but I will not bake it and then eat it. It sounds dry. Even if it's a lot of protein, I'm not doing it.
I'm just not a cottage cheese person. So like occasionally I've whipped it and like made like a cheesecake alternative with it. That's fun. But
is it good?
You know what? It's good, but it's kind of like, okay, I had it.
But is it like cheesecake?
Like alternative. Like it's in the same realm. I'm like, oh, it still has that like cream cheese taste to it once you whip it. But it's like, I'm over the cream because the amount of times I see a recipe and it's like cottage cheese. I'm like, I'm not going to buy cottage cheese and just swipe. I'm like, as soon as I see that swipe, we've had too much cottage cheese. We need a new it food. But sourdough can stay. Sourdough, I'll never be mad at. Stay for the rest of my life.
Same. I love sourdough. I bought sourdough at Costco, and I put it in the cupboard. And because of where I live, it's so humid. I like went to go make myself some. It was already moldy by like day 2.
Wow. That's unfortunate.
I know.
Tough life. I could put it in there. It'd be good for years. It's practically
literally.
freezer.
Truly.
Okay. Well, speaking of desserts and cottage cheese, we had a question from our audience. Healthy dessert suggestions when I'm craving something sweet. I think I know what you're going to say, so I'm going to give it to you.
The Ninja Creamy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Greek yogurt. I just bought there was one at Costco that was like salted caramel, cinnamon, and then I can't remember the last flavor, but it's like a fall theme, but I'm going to do that with the Ninja Creamy. It sounds delicious. What do you say?
I would say the Ninja Creamy. I'd be like, the 2 recipes I go for, one is I just buy some kind of protein shake, throw it in there with some pudding mix if I want to have protein, or I just get like fat-free milk and throw it in with some like maple syrup, and then it's just like a plain, and then like maybe a little vanilla extract, and then I'll add mix-ins after. But what I will be doing soon, now that it's like getting other flavors, is like, you know what I mean, instead of just vanilla, like try other vanilla extracts with it. Like there's so many others, so that's what I'm gonna play around with. See what I can come up with. Make up my own.
Sounds great.
And then healthy desserts, other options.
You can make like those mug cup things. I haven't done it, but they look delish. I don't know. I feel like if I do dessert, I'm like, I usually will grab like chocolate or something.
I'm a big chocolate haver. I won't lie. I was like, I love to get so much nutrients in at dinner that I'm like, dessert is sugar.
Mm-hmm.
So that's usually like, I usually feel I'm like, I had all these veggies, I had some protein, I had some fiber. Then like come dessert time, I'm like, you're good, girl. Go get the Ben and Jerry's.
Yes. Oh, I love Ben and Jerry's. Fish food? Mm.
Ooh. Honestly, they're all good.
What's your flavor?
I'm trying to think. I mean, my mind always goes to cookie dough, even though it's so plain.
Ooh.
Like, I was like, those cookie dough chunks will forever
Definitely.
get with me. And you know what I really like? Haagen-Dazs strawberry cheesecake.
Oh, yeah.
That one. Those would be my top two. Most grabbed.
Mine would be Dairy Queen strawberry cheesecake with extra cheesecake.
That was my high school. I haven't had Dairy Queen Blizzard in so long.
Oh, they used to do this customer appreciation day twice a year in Huntington when I lived there, and everything would be half off. Michael and I would get like the extra large, like because it was $2, and we would just eat it sick. Like we were so sick at the end, and we'd like keep pushing. Like
in high school, my best friend worked at Dairy Queen. So I'd go visit her after school and she would make me whatever I wanted. I would go there. I'm like, large Blizzard, brownie mix, cheesecake, cookie dough, fudge. Like we would just like, I think I've tried a Blizzard with every mix in and just, it was amazing.
I love that. But you landed on strawberry cheesecake?
From
after you've tried them all?
Oh, after I tried them all?
On Dairy Queen.
Ooh. Like, what's my favorite Dairy Queen one after all that?
Since you're such a well-versed Dairy Queen goer.
I mean, it's been so long. Like that, honestly, the concoction that was the best was cookie dough, brownie, and mix. Like that was my go-to. So I'd take chunks of brownie, fudge, and cookie dough. And that was my most common one. And occasionally swap out the brownie for cheesecake.
Did your friend
pretty basic.
Did she eat a lot of Dairy Queen?
Oh, yeah.
As a teenager?
Oh, that was like, there's a living, the chicken strips, the moo lattes, all those. Oh, unbelievable. What a time.
Yeah.
What a time.
That's my favorite dessert.
You know, so the pumpkin pie one that comes every year, bring me back that. Like pumpkin spice latte can move aside. The pumpkin spice blizzard.
I've never even tried that one.
It's relatively new.
I'm too obsessed with my cheesecake.
If it works, why break it?
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly. Well, with that, we'll leave you guys hungry. You came for health, and we'll leave you with Blizzard recommendations to start off 2025. Because what more could you want than a reward for all your hard work? Go and treat yourself to a Blizzard. It seems only fitting.
Love it. Okay. Well, with that being said, don't forget to check us out on YouTube. Leave us a review on whatever you listen to your podcast to. And check us out on Instagram. We will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.